Right now, you are reading the words flashing across the screen. It feels completely effortless. You assume reading is a natural human skill, just like breathing or sleeping. But you have been completely lied to. Reading is not natural, and your brain was never designed to do it. You are actually performing a frantic, high-stakes biological hack that began exactly 5,000 years ago when an unknown Sumerian tax collector carved the very first tally marks into a piece of clay. To understand those arbitrary scratches, that ancient accountant inadvertently forced his mind to hijack its own survival hardware. Hardware originally meant for identifying predators in the wild. But the reason your brain is still forced to commit this biological piracy today is terrifying. Because the very evolutionary trick that built modern civilization is currently dismantling the way your mind is supposed to function. When you understand this invisible crisis, you look back at the original design of the human machine. For the vast majority of human history, information was entirely oral and experiential. You survived by recognizing the subtle, dangerous rustle of tall grass. You stayed alive by memorizing the exact spatial layout of a complex hunting ground. You built tribes by expertly reading the microscopic emotional shifts on your neighbor's face. Your brain was a perfectly optimized engine for spatial navigation and social survival. There was absolutely no reading center built into your neural architecture, because writing simply did not exist. Your ancestors didn't read, they reacted. But then human civilization expanded. We invented symbols. We carved tallies into bone and pressed shapes into clay. Therefore, your biological hardware had a massive, unprecedented problem. Your brain desperately needed to process these new symbols, but it didn't have any spare parts lying around. So, it did the only thing it could do. It staged a hostile neural takeover. Neuroscientists refer to this incredibly violent process as neuronal recycling. To understand a simple alphabet, your visual cortex had to physically sacrifice the vital real estate originally meant for recognizing faces and tracking landscapes. It carved out a brand new space, purely through brute force. Every single time you look at a sentence, you are forcing ancient predator tracking hardware to process ink on a page. You are not just reading a book. You are executing a frantic, complex series of pattern recognition miracles every single second. This act of biological piracy allowed us to freeze time and pass down complex knowledge. The hack worked flawlessly for thousands of years, until now. Because this ancient evolutionary hack is incredibly fragile, and you are currently pushing it to the absolute breaking point. For centuries, we engaged in deep, linear reading. We read thick, dense books. We sat in total silence for hours. This agonizingly slow process trained our repurposed neural networks to sustain deep focus. It forced us to build complex, empathetic thoughts over long periods of time. But then we invented the digital screen. And therefore, the rules of the biological hack changed overnight. You are no longer engaging in deep reading. You are skimming. You are scrolling. You are rapidly scanning for dopamine hits. Your brain is being forcefully retrained right now to optimize for raw speed instead of actual comprehension. You might think this is just a bad modern habit. It is not. It is a permanent structural rewiring of your mind. By constantly feeding your brain an infinite digital scroll, you are actively surrendering the neural real estate required for deep, critical thinking. The hack is literally eating its own infrastructure. Deep reading forces your brain to simulate the experiences of others, which biologically generates empathy. But when you prioritize rapidly processing 15-second videos over reading one complex article, those deep reading circuits physically wither away. You are actively losing the biological capacity to focus. The faster you force your brain to process fragmented information, the less you actually internalize any of it. You can see the tragic consequences of this rewiring happening in real time. Look at children trying to learn basic focus today. They are not just easily distracted. They are fighting an impossible, invisible biological war. We are forcefully demanding their ancient brains interface with an infinite scroll long before they have ever developed the neural pathways for patience. We treat their lack of focus as a discipline problem. We are completely wrong. Their physical brains are structurally changing to meet the brutal, high-speed demands of the digital interface. We used to be a species that deeply thought about the world. But we have willingly become a species that simply processes data. We have stopped using tools to enhance our minds. Instead, we have optimized our very biology to serve the tool. You have to ask yourself a terrifying question. Are you actually the master of your technology? Or have you simply become the biological hardware required to keep the internet running? You are constantly being manipulated by invisible systems you assume are entirely natural. But this biological hack is only one part of the illusion. Right now, modern society is using a 200-year-old psychological torture experiment against you. And you unknowingly replicate this exact isolation every single morning on your silent commute to work. If you want to uncover the dark, engineered prison hiding inside your daily routine, click the video on your screen right now.